have agreed, with which we have agreed.
We finally felt that something had to be done to turn universities and colleges around that were heading in the wrong direction. They saw what happened at Virginia Tech, and they totally misread what it told them. It would be wonderful if we could all have our own police officer we could put in a holster and carry around with us, but we can't. Criminals don't think like us and don't make the mistake of projecting how you look at life onto somebody else, especially a criminal. You're talking somebody the really vicious ones that don't care about murdering children. They bury them alive. There's horrific things out there, things that we can't even fathom that another human being could do. And maybe they're not completely human. I don't know what else to make of them. But they're out there. Criminals will not obey the rules. So again, it's like saying, well, people are speeding on the expressway, so let's lower the speed limit to 15 miles an hour to keep them from speeding. It's not going to work. And so adding more laws on top of other laws, on top of other laws, on top of other laws, it's not going to make a difference. Then you also have to believe that the one chance in a million that you're going to be hit by crossfire in a situation where somebody's trying to murder people in a classroom, you're going to have to believe that chance is better than a 100% chance that you're going to be executed.
Our opponents will tell you that the police will protect you. To that I say, when seconds count the most, the police are only minutes away.
Criminals, they don't care about any laws, they break laws. It defines them as criminals. Yet the honest people have to worry about who am I going to take my chances with. I can either get arrested or maybe I get killed. Government should not be the enemy of honest people, and that's the situation we've got here.
You know, our opposition goes to some length to say that college is a safer environment than the general public. But when it comes to sexual assault, that situation is anything if not reversed. There are 9 sexual assaults every day on a college campus somewhere in this nation. 9 every day. And again, I don't have to tell you that the vast majority of these incidents go underreported, not reported, and when they do get reported, colleges do everything possible to sweep them under the rug. Because colleges have an obligation to report these statistics. But if they report a sexual assault occurred on their campus, well, they're likely to get a few less female freshmen in the subsequent year.
Whether they admit it or not, VCU and the people who support banning guns inside the building trust a criminal. Period. There is no other way to look at it. Our movement is diverse in stereotyping people who are gun owners. I think many of us know what those stereotypes are. For one, I've never hunted a day in my life, and I know many people in our group have never hunted. We have fathers and mothers and children, some who were they themselves victims of gun violence, who have looked at the situation without emotion. You hear people say it's an emotional topic. It's not an emotional topic. It's a logical topic that having a gun will help you in a time of self-defense. We are saying as long as VCU aligns itself with people who do not trust your judgment, who consider everybody that walks through a door of the building as a potential violent criminal, that they should not be supported. People who look at us as possible criminals should not get our tax dollars, they should not get our donations, and they should not have students who want to willingly submit themselves to being a sitting duck so that people can feel good about their agenda saying no guns allowed while you get killed.
I live in a household where there's lots of guns. My owner, or the gun owner in my house, is my roommate. He owns 8 guns. He loves to own guns on the fact that they were World War II antiques and they killed fascists. I mean, no guns, because you know, I love going to a campus where I don't have to worry about my crazy roommate with his guns behind me.
So you think most of the people here, what do you think about the VCDL being here on campus?
I just think it's stupid. Most of them probably don't even live around here. They probably don't even live within like a 10-mile radius. Their whole no guns, no funds, it doesn't really make any sense. Just because they can't carry their gun on campus, they're going to hurt the students. Like,
So you don't think this is something that the students necessarily support?
no, definitely not. I mean, there's crime anywhere on any campus, especially in an urban setting like this. You can't get away from it. Just because someone has a gun on campus doesn't mean that it's going to stop all crime. So they just don't really have much of a backing to their story.
Would you feel safe if students were allowed to carry guns to class?
Not necessarily that I would feel unsafe. I wouldn't feel safe though, because some students shouldn't be allowed to have guns at all.
I just don't think that most of these people that are here advocating for gun rights are actually students themselves. I think that you should leave the arguing amongst the students. But regardless of that, they say that ignorance is bliss, but I do not agree with the ignorance behind the trigger of a gun. It just makes no sense when if you put guns into the situation, of course there's going to be the problems that arise.
So in terms of background checks, where do you stand on that? Do you
Saying that they need to be heavy background checks. A gun is an instrument of death. Literally shoots a metal lead bullet that, I don't know, kills you. Like, you should have a lot of regulations when it comes to that kind of thing.
So this thing makes me nervous. I suppose he has a good sense to have the safety on his gun, and not one of those handmade.
And I've certainly heard on the forums that the folks say that, oh, the only safety you need is your finger. The safety is in your brain.
Yeah, I would say that's just natural selection, except that they're walking around.
Unless an innocent person's in the way.
Yeah, they should have their own place where they can carry guns and then thin each other off.
Do you mind?
For me, a campus, a university, is a place of learning. It's not a place where guns should have any role whatsoever.
Okay.
So I felt like I should join you guys here.
And so, would you feel safe if students were allowed to carry guns to class here?
Not at all, to be honest.
And why is that?
It's just like, who knows who is carrying and what kind of person they are. I don't feel there is enough regulation in place keeping the bad people from getting guns. In my opinion, the reason we have such a high, rate of violent crime in this country is it's so easy to get a gun. So anybody that gets a gun, one day they can snap. And what's keeping them from doing that?
Did you hear about the man with the concealed carry permit who shot his own child in his home when he was dry firing? Did you hear about that?
Yes.
Did you think maybe a little more training might have helped him out
But he
there?
wouldn't need a concealed carry permit to have that firearm in his house.
I think maybe
So
a
the fact
little
that he had a
more.
permit is not relevant to the analysis.
That's just talking about banning guns.
Yeah, now you're talking about banning guns generally.
No. He had a concealed carry permit.
But
and
he
if
didn't need a concealed carry
Oh,
environment to
got
carry
his
in that
obvious
environment.
degree of training.
If he had had an obvious degree of training due to his,
But if if you had issued him the
this
concealed carry permit, he could have still done what you did. So the concealed carry permit's not
true, but
relevant.
maybe he would have been a little less obsessed with carrying his gun everywhere.
Obviously, someone who has a concealed carry permit shot their child while dry firing, and that seems like that amount of training.
He violated the basic rules of gun safety, and that's bad.
Well, there's no guarantee that you guys will either, because we don't know that you have absolutely no training. Who knows who's got training? There's no training requirement. How do we know you're going to obey the rules of gun safety?
Well, one of the lines in the video that you need to watch before you take your 20-question quiz is, if you point the gun
Which
up,
video are we talking
it will
about?
fire up the one that's on the site for concealed carry. One of the lines is, if you point the gun up, it will fire up. If you point it lower, it will fire lower. So try to keep your gun straight. And then you take a little quiz about that. How simple and straightforward. Anyone who's played a video game knows that. That is not any kind of requirement for training that shows that you're proficient in carrying a firearm. How can answering a question about that grant you the ability to carry a gun.
But again, that goes to carry generally. So if you have a problem with carry generally, I understand.
Well, okay.
I'll go on record as saying, and on video as saying, that I am actually in favor of much more training to be able to conceal carry. I think that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
We do agree.
Okay, good.
Yes, we definitely agree on that. However, that has nothing to do with. That's a totally separate issue. That's not a no guns on campus issue. That's a more training issue.
Or no concealed carry issue.
Right, because right now, advocating for concealed carries on campus, there's no training caveat with that. So I am completely against concealed carries being on campus until that training issue is addressed. So that issue is very pertinent because the entire argument that guns save lives and a concealed carry can be safe on campus hinges on the inference that people who carry that concealed weapon is properly trained and can protect somebody.